Rome wasn't built in a day, and your plumbing business isn't going to be built in a day. I wouldn't even bother getting on House Call Pro or Jobber or any of those. A lot of people just want to do word of mouth, and I'm going to be cheaper, and I'm going to be better, and everybody's going to want to hire me. But you can't grow a real business on word of mouth. If nobody knows you exist, nobody knows who you are, you're going to have a heck of a time getting work. If you're in a maze and you're just running through the maze, it's gonna be really hard to get out of the maze. But the second you can get a top-down perspective, you could get through that maze pretty quickly, right? And that's the perspective that you need to get on your business so that you can find your way around. What's up, Joel?
Nothing, dude. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You're just so happy now that you can just start and you can always win.
I mean, you could have started the podcast before I did.
I think it's important to let you win.
Thanks. Let me have a win.
I just got to give you.
He's never gonna win naturally, so I
gotta inflate the odds a little bit. It's okay. It's what I'm here for.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You're hedging your bets.
Something like that.
Okay. I feel like that'd be a phrase you would really enjoy.
What, hedging your bets?
Hedging your
You feel
bets.
like I would enjoy the phrase hedging your bets?
I don't feel like it. I know. Yeah. I know it.
I don't. Let's see.
Somebody commented on one of our videos. They said, oh, by the way, before I go into this, we're going to go through, I came up with what I call the roadmap to success checklist for plumbing businesses to help you go from 0 to $1 million checklist. Okay.
Yeah, nice.
And we're going to go through that in this podcast, along with a couple other things that hold people back.
Cool.
But beforehand.
Yeah, I'm very interested with the beforehand part.
There was a guy who commented on one of our videos. He said something to the effect that he just loves Joel and that Jared never listens, which cracked me up because it's so
The guy's a very perceptive guy. He's very perceptive.
So true.
I'll be talking to Jared. I'll be like,
in a different world.
I'm thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here's why. I got to give this guy some perspective. I don't know his name. Hopefully he listens to this episode.
Yeah, he should comment below.
Yes, definitely. Kudos to him for being so receptive, by the way. Okay, if anybody's ever read Alex Hormozy's 100 Million Offers, there's a phrase in there where he talks about people just thinking about stuff and then never actually getting anywhere with their thoughts, right? They never end up doing anything in their business. They just what he calls mental masturbation. And ever since I read that, I've been giving Joel so much crap
all the time
about
every time I talk. Jared's like, "You're just mentally masturbating over there again."
You're doing
Jared,
it again.
I'm giving you directions to get to the grocery store, and he's like, "You're mentally masturbating." I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not. No, I think you have a problem.
I mean, to be, yeah, no FAP, right? Isn't that for mentally masturbating? No?
What a funny term. I wonder where he heard that. I want to know.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't think he came up with it. He might have.
Who knows?
But I mean, it's a good term.
It's a good term. And, being on the topic that we're on, it's something that you don't want to do, right? So,
yeah, because you can do it. you can do that, not just with I mean, I guess you're just thinking about stuff and you never do anything. What's the other way to sort of phrase that? Would almost be paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis.
Yep. And I think it's it's not even that you don't. I mean, it is that you don't do anything, but the whole point is you're just constantly in your thoughts. Your thoughts just feed on more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts, and you never really get anywhere with your thoughts or with doing anything. So, and the thing, when you're in business, if you get that way, is you could think through it all you want, but until you go actually attempt to do it, there's so many things that you're never going to think of, right?
Yeah, or you won't even know how to use the things you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I find now. Because we go through so much training and so much research and all this stuff.
Yep.
And we'll go through it and then be like, cool, I learned a bunch of stuff.
But there's no context.
No, but once there's context, you're like, holy moly, I got to go back through that and relearn that now that I actually have a grasp of what's happening.
I didn't even know what was going on when I was watching that training.
Yeah, I just this is really good.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, not that you shouldn't plan, not that you shouldn't think ahead, but don't let it stop you from starting. Don't let it stop you from actually doing things, right?
Yeah. Because they're always there should be actionables to your thoughts.
Totally.
You know, and sometimes thoughts can be like big that it takes a while to like get to an actionable, or you're working towards it. Like if I'm talking to you about the same idea over and because I haven't quite figured it out, you'd probably still be like, dude, just go try something to start.
Do something.
And I'd probably come back and be like, Jared, so this is what I'm thinking about. I did that thing and this is how it's thinking.
Yeah.
Like we're not saying there's not thinking involved, but it's easy to feel like you're doing work when you're just thinking about stuff.
Yep.
But sometimes you didn't really do anything except think about it. Which I never do. I never do that.
Prime example.
I what are you talking about? Oh man.
Sorry, I had to go there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna remember this conversation until I die. You know.
All right. So step one is like, hey, just go start doing it.
Step one of what? What are we
It's
talking
really
about?
not step one. We're getting into my roadmap to success. Gotcha. I set this up as a checklist for the guys in our coaching program because our coaching program is set up as kind of a checklist, but I wanted them to have a document that they could go to and go, okay, this is what I got to do next.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get like so stuck in the weeds that you don't know what you're working on next.
Or you jump ahead to something that.
Or you jump ahead to something.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's really easy to do. We've definitely jumped ahead on stuff thinking that like.
I do it all the time.
That's where we need to go. And then if you forget a foundational piece, you're going to have to go back to it eventually anyway.
Yes.
Might as well just knock it down the first time.
Correct. So before you get started even, just start. Don't. Before you get... Dude, bro. Before you get started. Before you get started, don't not get started by mentally masturbating, right?
Dude, I think you're mentally
just
masturbating
keep thinking.
right now.
Like, stop thinking and go do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Stop thinking, oh, I want to do this, but it's scary, or I want to do this, but I don't know, or I don't know about this. I don't know about this, and yeah, there's a ton of unknowns. But the second you start moving in that direction, you'll figure out what those unknowns are, and then you'll figure out I need to figure out how to get past this, and then you can work on it. Yeah,
and to that point, like sometimes people are afraid because they don't see themselves as quick or good decision makers. But the weakness of that idea is there are people who are just good decision makers. And the reality is that people learn how to become good decision makers by making decisions. Yeah. It's a practice thing. The more good decisions the more decisions you just make, you can say like, oh, okay, I get a feel for this.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you're in any leadership position, day one is hard because you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
But like year 10, you're like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm much more comfortable in this space. It just takes time.
Yep.
So decisions are the same way.
Yep.
That's why you just have to start or else you'll never practice.
Yes. And to add to that, when you're in that point of your business, just starting, your decisions don't have a ton of weight.
Sure.
Right? So it's not like you got a ton of employees and a bunch of things counting on you. It's just you and your business, right? Your family might be counting on you, but it's just your income. That's it. So it's better to just make decisions and then learn from them. And the thing is, in that stage of your business as well, you can react really fast.
Yeah.
And you can correct really fast. So I think early on in your business, it's good to just, if you think you should do something, just make the decision and go do it. And then figure out if it was a good decision or bad decision. And then don't look at it as failure if it was a bad decision.
Sure.
Just look at it as, cool, I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Time to move on to the next one, right? Because most of your decisions at that point in the game, they don't hold much weight.
Right.
It's not going to kill you, right? It's actually going to help you progress by learning that lesson.
Right.
So, yeah. That's all I got. That's the whole thing. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Good checklist, dude. All right. See you next week.
Okay. So I wrote this in steps. Okay. There's 13 steps to get you to, I'm going to say you could get to 5 to 8 million with these steps, somewhere in there. You could stop along the way if you want. And then I put these steps, I organize this into different focuses.
Sure.
Because in different stages of your business, you're going to be focusing on different things, right? So there's focus, and then there's individual steps.
Right.
Cool.
Like a broad focus?
No, it's a pretty good focus. And I will say, like, the entire time, you're focused on creating cash flow.
The whole time?
The entire time.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Unless you're sitting on, even if you're sitting on a ton of money, there's a few things that would change. If you're sitting on a ton of money, you can kind of skip steps or move ahead in steps.
Yeah.
Just because you have cash reserves. But I wrote this assuming that you started your business and you have less than 10 grand in the bank.
Sure.
So you could have $1,000 in the bank, $2,000 in the bank. You can follow these steps to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, gotcha.
Cool. Yeah.
Sounds very practical.
It is. Let's get into it. Okay. So steps 1 through 4, they all have the same focus, okay?
Okay.
And the focus on steps 1 through 4, because you likely just started your business or you've been in business and you're not as far ahead as you want, right?
Sure.
And there's some foundational steps in steps 1 through 4 that you got to get right before you can grow, or you're going to have other problems. So it's really just getting the basic setup so that you can make money.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's it. And it's a strong focus, extremely strong focus at this point on getting consistent cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lifeblood of your business.
Yep. It's usually the biggest constraint in your business, cash flow. When a business has lots of steady cash flow, all of a sudden everything gets easier.
Well, yeah, especially if it's predictable cash flow.
Yes.
Because then you can make these decisions, not just like, not like a fart in the wind. It's like, oh, we know what's going on here.
Yeah, exactly. So step 1 is just getting started, right? Like, let's get going. Let's pick a name, get the proper licensing that you need.
Of course.
Get a van, get the tools you need, get your minimum viable product, basically, which would be like you, a phone, a van, and the tools. So get that stuff together, right? If you have enough money, enough resources, it'd be a good time to get a good logo.
Yeah.
Like if you can go hire KickCharge Creative or go to Mammoth Marketing and hop on their marketing package to get their, rebranding package done. It'd be a good time if you have the money.
Because then you just don't have to do it later.
Because then you don't have to do it later, right? If you don't have the money, that's cool. Just go on 99 Designs and get a logo done. Cost you could get one for as cheap as $99, right? Or you could spend like $1,200 if you want, depending on how much money you have. Just know that if you do that, you're probably gonna want to rebrand later.
Yeah. Do you have that outline in the steps? Like this would be the time you want to rebrand if you didn't start off with a really strong brand.
Yep, definitely. So once you've done that, then
real quick, do you have like a precursor to starting your business? Like if you want to start a business, if you're thinking in these ways, you should start a business. Like you should go this way because it would be worth your effort, your risk, your investment.
If you really like plumbing and you're tired of your boss because he holds you back from being a good plumber, then I would tell you, don't start a business. Go find somebody you can work for and be a really good plumber.
Sure.
Right? Somebody who starts a business, you're not in it for the plumbing.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my GM today. We were talking about one of our guys. The guys are always worried about the plumbing, right? And it's like, the plumbing doesn't matter. It literally, the plumbing matters very little. Yes, we got to put in quality work.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, what really matters is that we have a happy customer. And there's so much more to that than the plumbing, right?
What was the context around that?
So imagine we were kind of in this scenario where if you got two guys, okay, and one guy goes to a job and he replaces a part on something,
right,
or replaces something that maybe wasn't 100% necessary, right? But he served the customer well, gave the customer what they wanted, and the customer in the end was really happy about the work that was done and the price he paid for it. So much so that he left you a 5-star review.
Right.
Well, the other guy might be looking at that guy and going, well, I got to think of something like a garbage disposal or something.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
That garbage disposal didn't really need replaced. We could have repaired it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe it wasn't the garbage disposal that was bad. It was, I don't know, the clogged piece of pipe that was, right next to it, right? And so you didn't need to replace that garbage disposal. But at the end of the day, it's like the customer was happy to pay to have a new garbage disposal. And now they have not just a repaired garbage disposal, they have a new one that has a warranty, and they're totally happy with it, and they're stoked, right? Sure. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because the customer was happy.
Because it's not about the part that you fixed. Yeah. It's not about the plumbing that you repaired. It's about the customer being happy with with the interaction that they had with your business, right?
Sure, yeah.
Super important. So when you're going into owning a plumbing business, very quickly it's going to have very little to do with plumbing.
Yeah, probably the quicker you can see that, the better you're going to be too.
Yeah.
Like the quicker you can sort of throw off the plumber, the plumber brain or however you want to put it, the quicker you're going to be in that business owner mindset and trying to like actually make this thing into a viable business.
Yep.
Not just a place where people who can do plumbing get together and they talk a little bit about doing plumbing and they go do plumbing and then they come together later and they say that was a good day of plumbing and then that's all it goes.
Hey, if you want to take your plumbing business to the next level, you're going to want to join our coaching program over at Wealthy Plumber, where you can get everything you need to grow a multi-million-dollar plumbing company, including pricing calculators, SOPs, email campaigns, and the whole 9 yards. If you want to check it out, go to wealthyplumber.com. That is wealthyplumber.com. Yeah. Dude, I got gnarly throatness going on.
Dude, you're going to make it.
I'm going to make it.
I'm just going to have to, read the slides.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of guys get held up like in the very beginning stages when they're going to hire guys. They're like, I'm sending this guy out there and I don't know what kind of quality work he's going to do. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. Like he could be putting in pipes crooked. It sounds horrible. Like I hate the thought of crooked pipes going in. Mm-hmm. But if the customer was super stoked and super happy with the work done and the interaction was good, it's like at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? Mm-hmm. If my guys were putting in crooked pipes, it would drive me insane. And if I saw the picture of it, I would definitely say something to them.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the core function of the business isn't per se the plumbing, right?
Sure.
The core function of the business is providing a service to the customer that they're happy with, that they're willing to pay you good money for and leave you a 5-star review.
Sure.
Does plumbing play into that? Yes, but that's a very small part, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Of the overall picture.
Yes.
So once you get into business, like if you're going to go into the plumbing business, you got to be in it to be in business.
Yeah.
You got to be in it to have a business, not in it to go do good plumbing.
Yeah, like if that's, like you said, like if that's really what you love to do, then yeah, find a good person
who
can pay you good.
Then come work for me, and you can go put in nice, straight, cool, good-looking pipes all day long, and I'll pay you forever.
And you can be in a community of people of plumbers who really take pride in their work, who, talk about it all the time at the Christmas parties, all the things.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason is because if you're in it for the plumbing, it's going to be hard to run a really good business because you're not going to be focusing on the right thing.
Sure.
And if you're in it for the business, then you're going to be focused on the business, right? And you're going to want the business to run good.
Right.
And in order for the business to run good, you have to care about all of it. And since plumbing is such a small portion of it, if all you're caring about is the plumbing, the business isn't going to run. It's just not going to go very well, right? So that'd be my advice.
Okay, gotcha.
You gotta want to be in business. You gotta want to grow something and build something and pour energy into it and watch it succeed. Right.
Yeah. Also, is it how hard is it? Because I think so I sort of perceive that there's almost two paths where guys start and they don't think it's as hard as it turns out to be, or guys think it's way harder than it really is. And I don't know, because it's there needs to be a proper preparation for this is a hard thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it's not a walk in the park.
It's an independent venture where there's nobody who can help you in the sense of oh yeah, you got sick. That's okay. I can still pay you because I'm your boss and I got some money to do that. It's oh, you got sick. Now you're just going to have less money because it's your business. Yeah. And you couldn't work that day, especially if you're in the beginning stages or whatever,
I mean, if you're going to grow it to a real business that can actually that actually works and runs and operates like a business, so has the right people in the right seats, has systems and a way of doing business, and creates a product that's satisfactory to the customer that they're going to leave you a 5-star review, it's not an easy thing to do. And it's going to take work.
Yeah, I think it's going to take work, and then I think it's going to take endurance.
It's going to take work. It's going to take endurance. You're going to have to want it bad enough to make it happen.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But like anybody who's second guessing, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'd say maybe it's well worth it, provided you, I don't want to say give up, but maybe you stall out and you stop inputting as much effort as you possibly can to get it to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Because I think guys, they'll get it to where it's really hard, but it's like it's working well enough,
and then they just stay there.
And they just stay there forever. Yeah. And that's when it's like, that's when it's like you should have just found somebody to work for.
Yeah.
Because you could have made, let's say, just the same
amount of money,
but you could have just left at when it's time to leave work.
Yeah.
And you could have got on vacation. Like you could have done all those things that you can't do now, because if you do that, then the whole thing starts to shake and crumble.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If you're going to build a business that requires you to be there every single day, then all you did was build something where you have a job.
Yeah.
Like you just made a job for yourself.
Yeah.
Where you can't leave, you can't go on vacation, and it doesn't pay very well.
It's way harder because you have all the stress of the responsibility on you.
And you're responsible for all of that, right? Mm-hmm. That's no fun.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Please.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right? If you're going to build something of value, build something that doesn't require you to be there. Like it's possible, so why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't think it's possible, but it totally is. There's businesses all over the world that do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible. And it's possible with any business. You just have to do the right stuff.
Yeah, and I think you have to be, I'm thinking of like other business owners, but not to be, like you've already talked about, don't be so absorbed in the product that you're doing that you forget all the other aspects that make the whole thing going, like the whole thing run.
Right.
Like you're in business to be profitable.
Yeah.
Like first and foremost.
Exactly.
So a lot of times guys will focus so much on their product that they'll forget about profitability.
Yep.
And then that's when you don't have a business. You just have a really lame job.
Yeah.
Because you forgot about the main thing, the whole reason why you actually started this.
Yep. The whole reason is profit.
Yeah.
End of story.
And if your reasoning is like, well, I want more freedom and time and all those things, those are directly tied to profit. Like you'll never get those things if you're not profitable.
Yeah. Profit is how you get the freedom and the time back. Yeah. It's how you really achieve true freedom.
Yeah.
Is through the profits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the way, like Dave Ramsey puts it as financial freedom. I like that because it's financial and then freedom.
Yeah.
So you get the financial security and then you get the freedom because of it.
Yeah.
I like that. Very true.
Yep.
Okay. So you got your logo done if you can afford it. You've got your MVP. And then as soon as you start making money, you need to hire a bookkeeper. A lot of guys, for some reason, don't hire a bookkeeper, or they try to do it themselves. And what they don't realize is that the time they're spending on like trying to learn how to do their own books, understanding what even like what the terms are even.
Oh yeah.
Because it's backwards from real life, right?
It is. Yeah, it's confusing.
Just hire a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Your books are going to be so small that you're barely going to pay that bookkeeper anything. Mm-hmm. So if you can find one that's hourly that'll work on your books for like $50 an hour, you're probably going to pay her like $150 a month. And then you don't have to touch it.
Yeah.
Done. It might cost you a couple $100 the first couple months while she gets set up, but then QuickBooks is going to do most of the work for her or him. Sorry.
Sure.
Not all bookkeepers are women.
True.
Sorry, men, bookkeepers. But
they're all very offended.
You got a weird job.
We just lost our subscribers.
Probably.
You like numbers, you know?
Yeah. So go hire a bookkeeper and then come up with a way to organize your paperwork. Don't be the guy who's got the paperwork on your dash, who just got stuff everywhere. Like, stay organized. Don't be messy. Put your paperwork in one thing, take it home, and file it away, okay? Or organize it on the internet. Like, get a Google Drive, organize it in folders, and actually upload it in there. Take a picture of it and throw it in the drive, right? Something. Same goes for, like, all your licensing stuff and all that stuff. Go on Google Drive. Go watch a YouTube video on Google Drive and how to organize your life in Google Drive. It'll save you tons of heartache in the future. So stay organized. Step 2, we move into pricing. And this is the one that we talk about a lot.
Yep.
And the reason it's step 2 is because it's where most people go wrong. And it holds them up. Step 2 and step 3 are actually where most people get stuck. It's really what sticks most people, stops them from succeeding. So step 2 is pricing. So you have to price yourself properly in order to make a profit.
Yes.
Like we talked earlier, profit is the thing that gives you sanity. It's the thing that gives you the freedom that you want in your business.
Gives you consistency.
So if you're going to go do work for somebody, you have to know exactly what it costs you to do that work. And you have to know that you're charging them enough to cover your costs and make a profit. And as you go along in business, you're going to get more and more and more overhead, right? So if you want to grow into a big business, you should price for where you want to be, not for where you are currently, right? Because currently you're going to have really low costs. So you could go to the customer and keep your costs low and still make a profit.
Right.
But because the dollar amounts that you're charging are so low, your profits are going to be really small, right?
Yes.
And so if you've got businesses...
Small percentage-wise or just small like this?
Small dollar-wise.
Yeah, gotcha.
Percentage, you could maintain 30% profits, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if your expenses are low and so your hourly rate is low or your flat rate prices are low, then the dollar amounts that you make off of that are going to be really small, right? Even if it's the same percentage. And it's going to hinder you from growing quicker. So if you've got businesses in your marketplace, which everybody does, who are charging premium dollar for a premium product, right? So go find those businesses that have a good brand, who have more than 10 trucks, who are charging flat rate, and go see if you can deduct what they're charging. That's closer to what you should be charging, right? Otherwise, you're just leaving all that difference on the table.
Yeah.
If they're going to a customer and they're charging $3,800 for a water heater, and you're going and charging $1,000, you just left $2,800 on the table.
Yeah.
That you could have put in your pocket to grow your business much faster. Right? So in the beginning, you have this opportunity to create lots of cash, and that's good because then you're going to need to take that cash and go invest it back into your business, right? So you need to use the opportunity while you have it.
Right.
Because it's not always going to be there.
Right.
And that's really how you get away with starting your business without any financing. Right?
Yeah, because you have the ability to go, once you get your MVP, your minimal viable product, you can just go in your van and start getting jobs.
You get one water heater job and you'll make a few $1,000s, right?
Yeah.
You might spend $1,000 on materials, but then like if you're charging $3,800 for an electric water heater swap, and it costs you $1,000, you're pocketing $2,800 and you have very little expenses at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that's mostly profit.
Yeah.
So it just sets you up to be able to stack away lots of money very quickly.
Sure.
So that's what I did. So, and I was still undercutting myself, and in 3 months I was able to put away $80,000. So paid all of my expenses, paid myself, my family lived, we ate, all our bills were paid. And I put away $80,000. And it was that $80,000 that I used to initially like kickstart the business, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
So in the beginning, you're still like it's like, okay, I got to make money so I can get cash so I can deploy it, right? So you need to get your pricing right. So you need to determine what that is, okay? It's different everywhere in the United States. And the only reason it differs is because the cost of running your plumbing business in some areas is higher than other areas. So it might cost you more to run your plumbing business in California and New York than it does in Florida, right?
Sure.
But here's the deal. It's never less than $400 an hour.
Yeah.
I have not seen it anywhere in the United States where you can charge less than $400 an hour and still cover your costs as a plumbing business.
Yes.
So if you're still guessing and don't know what to do and don't know how to figure out your price, you can download our calculator. It's free. There's a link below if you're on YouTube, or you can just charge $400 an hour, right? I think anybody in any market could probably get away with charging $450 and be just fine. Okay, so now you're priced right. The other thing is marking up your materials. So let's say you decided to be $400 an hour. Well, a lot of guys don't mark up their materials enough. So you need to mark up your materials 100%, which a lot of people be like, oh, that's crazy. I only mark them up 20%.
Right.
But when you mark them, and it's because they don't understand the difference between markup and profit and margin, right?
Sure.
So like if you want to figure out, like once you figure out your expenses, let's say this sparkling water costs me $100. to create, right?
Yep.
That's what it costs. If I want to make 30% profit on this, most people would say multiply it by 1.3, $130, and now you make 30% profit, right? But 30 is not 30% of 130.
Sure.
So what you really need to do is you need to divide it by the opposites. You need to divide it by 0.7. And it's really I think it's $148 that I need to charge for this in order to maintain 30% profits.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? So there's a difference between markup, like times 1.3, so that a total cost of 130, that would be 30% markup.
Yeah, right.
30% profit would be $148.
Yes. So we just have to understand the words that we're using probably don't mean what we think they mean. So when we say, hey, I'm marking up my materials 50%, you know, in their mind, they're like, the idea is now I'm thinking that I'm getting 50% profit, right? When I say that.
That's 33% profit margins.
Yeah.
It's 50% markup, but it's only 33% profit.
Yeah, they're not the same.
So think of it this way. If this cost me $100 to create, and I mark it up 100%. So now I sell it to you for $200. Out of that $200, I spent $100 of it on creating this product.
Right.
So my profit is $100.
Right.
Which is 50% of the total that I sold it to you for.
Yep.
Right. So that's a good way to think about.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Right.
So So if you want the 30%, that's where the 0.7 comes in.
Yep. And the reason you do that is that in service, like in residential service, any service industry, there's so much waste and there's unpredictable things that happen. Like I bid this job, but I underbid the materials.
Right.
Or I bid this job and I bought too many materials.
Right.
I bought more than I bid it for. Or I've had this part in my truck forever and it got destroyed.
Right.
Right. There's so many of that goes on that you lose about 20% of your materials. Right. So the way I look at it is if you're going to be in business and you want to be profitable, you should be trying to hit 20% profit margins, which means you should aim for 30.
Right.
So,
because there's going to be, you're not going to know where your loss comes from, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
So if I mark this up 100%, it's 50% profit margins.
Right.
If I lose 20% of my materials, I'm down to 30%.
Gotcha.
Okay. I shoot for 30. I probably end up around 20.
Yep.
If I end up a little higher, guess what? I just made more profit.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing? Not at all. That's the whole reason you're in business in the first place, right? Okay. So pricing is like a two-step thing. You got to cover your expenses, make a profit, and you have to mark up your materials. Cool.
Real quick, there's always this thought that comes in where it's like, well, Jared, how can we mark up materials this way and like still remain in the bounds of being ethical, right? Like, how do we do this to the customer?
I mean, what's ethical though?
Well, I don't know. Not ripping them off.
But what's ripping them off?
Charging too much.
What is too much?
However much they can't pay.
How am I supposed to determine what they can and can't pay? Like if we base it off of what everybody wants to pay, well, then we would never make a profit, right?
Sure.
Because nobody wants to pay to get their plumbing fixed. They'd want it all for free. So in my mind, the only ethical way to do it is to say, this cost me this much to supply to the customer,
Sure.
and I need to make a profit, so I'm going to mark it up however much I need to make a profit. And I know that in my business, I can't think of everything and that stuff is going to happen.
Right.
So I have to fluff that number a little bit in order to hit my actual desired profit margins.
Right.
To me, that's the only ethical way to do it.
Right.
If you're just guessing or if you're trying to keep your prices low, right, then you run into unethical things, right?
Sure.
Because now, like, if you're just guessing and you go offer this product to the customer and you're not profitable, now you run into the ethical portion of, I'm not running a profitable business. I can't take care of my employees.
Sure.
Now, if something goes wrong with that customer, I don't have the funds or the money or the resources to actually take care of that customer.
Or you're pulling them out of your own pocket.
Yeah, or you're stealing from your family to take care of your customer, or you're stealing from your employees to take care of your customer. That's unethical,
right?
To me, right? So I would so much rather say, this is what it costs. This is how much profit I need to make. This is the price.
Right.
And that's ethical. And in this price is included taking care of myself, taking care of my employees, and taking care of the customer.
Right.
Right. And if that's not ethical, then I don't know what is.
Sure. Yeah.
Anything outside of that is unethical in my mind.
And then also, if you believe that your service is bringing good to the community, then it's also important that you try to make that service last. Because if you don't charge enough and if you're not focusing on profitability, then eventually you're just going to go away.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to remain in business.
And there's not going to be, people are going to be like, oh, I wish there was a good plumber with integrity who could come fix my problems.
Yep.
It's like, well, he couldn't because he wasn't charging enough to do so.
Yep. The reason that my plumbing company gets so many phone calls and so many customers and so many 5-star reviews, even though we're the most expensive in town, is because people in the marketplace are willing to pay us the money for the service that they get, right? And if we weren't profitable, we wouldn't be able to offer that service.
Right.
And so the customer would lose out.
Right. They'd have to get their plumbing done by somebody else. It'd take them longer. They wouldn't have the same level of service.
Yep.
Maybe it wouldn't cost them as much, but then they wouldn't get the same value out of it.
Right. And ultimately, it's not what the customer wants. Customers vote with their dollars. And right now, they're voting for a way better service.
Yeah.
And the thing is that's really what your customer wants. And that's the only customer that you can make money with.
Right.
Because with plumbing, the fact of the matter is, to run a plumbing business, the cost of it, like if this were your plumbing business, it's the part you're reselling to the customer, costs you a ton of money.
Yeah, there's not really a commoditized plumbing business residential service.
No.
You can actually be like McDonald's and offer plumbing for like $45.
No, that business model does not work.
Yeah.
The McDonald's, the Amazon, the super thin margins, do it at scale, doesn't work. You're not selling billions of dollars worth of plumbing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially when you're just starting out, like that can't ever even enter your mind as a proper comparison.
No,
Because you certainly have no room to do that.
Exactly.
It won't work.
Yep. So you got to price yourself right. That's step 2. Step 3 is, if nobody knows that this thing exists, nobody's going to buy it.
Sure.
Right? So if I don't, the reason I know this exists is because I went to the store and I saw it there and I bought it, right? Well, that's a form of marketing, right?
Yeah.
They put it in front of me at the grocery store to let me know that it exists, and they put a price tag on it. They got it in front of my eyeballs, and I said, I want that, and I bought it, right? Same thing for your plumbing business. If nobody knows you exist, nobody knows who you are, then you're going to have a heck of a time getting work, right? I think everybody can agree with that. A lot of people disagree about how to go about their marketing.
Sure.
So a lot of people just want to do word of mouth, and they think, I'm just going to do word of mouth, and I'm going to be cheaper, and I'm going to be better, and everybody's going to want to hire me.
Yep.
Because all these other business owners are greedy, right? And the reality is yeah, you can get somewhere with word of mouth, but you can't grow a real business on word of mouth.
Yeah, and I think word of mouth is always important, but it's not, like you said, it's not the growth mechanism.
No, I think word of mouth mixed with real marketing, like internet marketing, other forms of marketing, that's a really powerful combination.
Sure.
But it's only one piece of it, right?
Right.
So a lot of people, that points to another problem is a lot of people want to do one form of marketing.
Yes.
They'll have one thing that they're doing, right? And then all their eggs are in that one basket. It's like, what happens when that basket dries out or that basket runs out of eggs, or however you want to look at it, right?
I eat all the eggs.
Or you eat all the eggs, right? Or you hire another guy. Now that basket doesn't have enough eggs in it.
He eats all the eggs.
He eats all the
Bastard. I
Sure.
want the eggs.
Like, what happens then, right? So when you get into marketing, like, the whole purpose is to get more work, right?
Right.
So the idea is you've set up your business. Now you're priced right. And now that you priced right, you can go to a job and you can actually make money. The next thing you need, like the next thing that's holding you up from creating more cash, right? Because your focus is on cash. The next thing that's holding you up from creating more cash is getting more customers. And how do you get more customers? It's just a matter of marketing,
Right.
right? So I would suggest hiring a marketing company like as quick as you can. Hire a marketing company that will handle all of your online marketing. And then in the meantime, while that marketing is going up, like it takes a while, right? It takes like 90 days for them to just set up all your stuff, get your campaigns going, let them learn, go back in and optimize them.
And there's so many things that can happen that can like interrupt that process that isn't your fault, isn't your marketing company's. It's because digital marketing is still dependent upon platforms like Google and Facebook to do stuff. And sometimes those platforms are like, hey, sorry, bud. All your ads got weird for a second, so I got to redo the thing, and you got to keep spending money.
Yep.
And it's like,
it
is what it is.
Plumbers,
yeah,
right?
It's super frustrating, but it doesn't mean that the system is broken. It just means that it's just part of how it works.
And marketing companies are also dealing with supply and demand.
Yeah.
Like there's more supply and less supply during certain times of the year for plumbing companies. And it's just how it is. So if your marketing company is, if you're spending on marketing and you're not getting the leads you want, or you're not getting enough, typically it's a couple problems. It's either slow, it's just a slow time, or you're not spending enough on the lead, to get the leads that you want, right?
Right.
So it's usually one of those two. A lot of times people aren't willing to spend enough consistently enough for a long enough period of time to actually get results from their marketing.
Right.
So
why is that?
Because they see the leads come in and they don't understand. Number one, most of them aren't priced right.
Sure.
So when they're $120 an hour, $160 an hour, even $200 an hour, and they're looking at a lead from Google and it's $300,
right?
They're like,
unaffordable.
Yeah, why would I do that? Like I'm gonna go bill them an hour. I'm gonna make $250, and I paid $300 to get them. I'm losing my butt. So when you're profitable, you include the cost of all that in the cost of doing business. Like your marketing is a cost of doing business. It should be included in your hourly rate, right? In the price of doing work, right? And so by not having your pricing right, you immediately set yourself up for failure in marketing. So the other thing they don't understand as well is just lifetime value of the customer.
Yeah, sure. Not thinking about that when they go
do
work for a customer.
If you get that customer on board, right, and you serve them once, and you pay for that lead one time, and then you do a good job, and then you keep them in your ecosystem, in your atmosphere, right, you can potentially serve that customer for the next 10 years. And
are there ways that you use to keep customers in your atmosphere, or is it just like you do such a good job that they're just going to call you next time anyway?
Number one, you do a really good job so that they want to call you next time. Number two, you get them to sign up for your membership, right? It's just a customer retention program. So that you can raise the lifetime value of that customer.
Yeah. So then there's an incentive for them to call you next time because it's structured into your membership.
And then number three, you just keep in contact with them. Like you email them. You show them your social media stuff. You call them every now and then and check on them and see how they're doing. Make sure they don't need anything. You just keep them in your system, right?
Oh man, yeah, and like because that can pencil so well. Because I was just thinking about like, I don't know if you ever did it, but when you're talking about sending like these are more like new customers, but like cookies to new people who just bought a house in the market. Hey, this is from Prospector. Here's some cookies. Because then the media thinks is like, man, I got to spend how much money on cookies? But like, if you know your average ticket and like, over the course of the year, let's say you spent $2,000 on cookies. Right. But your average ticket is $2,300. That's just when you go there. And so you've already went to this customer and now you're giving them cookies but you've already got like $2,300 or whatever, but now you're probably going to get them again. And if it's another $2,300, then those cookies are really starting to pencil. Like, or whatever, like creative way that you have to retain them outside of membership and check-ins and social media and all these other things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cause keeping them coming back to you, man, is like super profitable.
When
you think about it, when you think about it, like thinking about your marketing. Cause I think guys will get it when they're like, oh yeah, I'll get more money, more profit from that customer. But then I think there's not a direct line to, okay, now let's go to marketing and see how that helps your marketing efforts.
There's two ways to increase the lifetime value. You can bill them more times, or you can bill them more, right? So there's tons of systems to bill them more times, like we talked about, and then being able to bill them more is just like you can just go there and offer them options and serve them better, and they'll naturally like hire you to do more work, and they'll pay you more the first time you're there. Like looking at the whole system, right? Rather than just being a broke fix plumber and going in and saying, yeah, this is broken, but here's what caused it, and here's why, and here's the solution for that. You're going to sell more bigger ticket items by serving your customer better, and you're going to bill them more that first time even. And then every single time you go there, you get to do that as well.
Yeah.
So huge upside to like holding on to them and really maximizing every time you go to their job, right? Or to a job.
Yeah, and I know this is a slight tangent. We've talked about this before, but now more than ever, like communicating to your customers your company values, they'll stick around just for those values.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot, but there's real value and then there's perceived value in your company, right? So there's things that we do in my company, like we pay our guys really well. We've always paid our guys well. They have a retirement plan. They get health care. We've always done that. But it wasn't until we started telling our customers that we do that they were like, oh, this is a different kind of company. Like they actually care about their people. They actually make sure they have health insurance and a 401k. And it raised their perceived value of us. Yeah. So now they're like, oh, this company not only like, they're not just trying to like bill me a ton of money and rip me off. They're actually like taking care of the people.
Yeah, they care about people because like what people want to support is companies that care about people. And that can be also like sponsoring local sports teams, or if like, if you have a passion in the community, like I know of a company who is really big into like autism awareness, but it speaks to something unique and special about their company that they just have to show you that that's a thing that they do and they care about. Yeah. And that's going to cause the customer to be like, oh no, I stick with them because of these reasons. Yep. Like, and this translates, like everybody sticks to the companies that they like for the reasons that they do. Yeah. And it's not always like,
and if you can make it more than one reason.
Oh yeah.
You're golden.
Yeah, because it's not like we're like, oh, I just get Apple because it's like super quality. Like, yeah, that's it. But mostly it's all these other reasons why we buy what we buy, or we stay loyal to a brand.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
So you want to start marketing. While your marketing company is getting all this stuff together, you really need to do guerrilla marketing. You really got to be like boots on the ground, hustling, trying to get work however you can until your internet marketing kicks off, right? And if you can't afford to hire a marketing company, that's what you got to do in the beginning to get work.
Yeah, that's and I mean like this moment of like stacking away that 80K. Yeah. Like that's so that you can have just the cash to hire the marketing company. Yeah. But then still have a mechanism for getting jobs to continue to, be able to pay yourself and all those things, but then continue to stack away cash for the next expenses that you're going to incur.
Exactly. 100%. So don't be afraid to go on Facebook, call your friends, text everybody in your phone. Do the stuff that's hard to get work, because that's how you're going to make it.
And do the stuff that you would normally like, maybe just personality-wise, you'd be like, dude, I would never go on Facebook and start all that. Like, I mean, my personal experience with watching Jared was never a Facebook guy, and then he got on Facebook just so that he could get customers.
Dude, that was the sole purpose.
It was the sole purpose, and it's funny because everybody was so confused, but it was just because of that.
It was.
And that, I mean, that's what it takes. That's when we say do everything it takes to make the sucker go. It means doing those things that make you uncomfortable because, I don't know, you have a stigma about Facebook in your head or the people on there or whatever. But like, put all that aside, because the end result is so much more important than whatever you think or feel about Mark Zuckerberg or Google or all these things. Yeah. Like, put that crap aside, because the result, you're not going to get your result without their platforms and their help.
Yeah. A lot of people are just scared to like put themselves out there.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to get over that. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to put yourself and your company out there. Yeah. That's how you get work. That's what marketing is. It's like putting yourself out there and like being disruptive, like being different, be funny, be like catch people's attention, right? That's the goal. You have to catch their attention, tell them what you want them to know, and then they're going to hire you to do work, right? So you can't be afraid of that at all.
Yeah.
So go do the hard stuff and like get out there and do it, right?
Yeah, and I heard one. I was talking to one guy, and he was really opposed to like door knocking and any things like that because he was just like, plumbers just don't do that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want my butt crap plumber doing that kind of thing. And I think it comes from, again, the position of like, it is not the correct perspective to say plumbers just don't do that kind of stuff. The correct perspective is like, yeah, you're probably going to suck at it the first door you knock, but like you knock 1,000 doors and by the end, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, no, I feel like I have a feel for how to do this. That's actually helpful.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's an opportunity to get work, even if it's a small opportunity, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just finishing this job. There's like 5 houses here. I have door knockers, which is cool, but I might as well knock on some doors too because I don't got nothing to do the rest of the day.
I'm in the neighborhood. Usually there's a $200 trip charge. I'll waive it today. Because I'm already in your hood. Like, I'm already here. I'll give you a free estimate.
Yeah, you can just start. Yeah, you're already there. Free estimate. And you can just start asking around like, how's this? How's this? Like right now in this time of year, like water heaters, when was the last time you had a service? When the last time you had your filters changed? Like whatever it is. I got stuff on my truck, man. Like your Samsung fridge. I don't know if you carry those kinds of filters or whatever, but like, well, I can't do that, but let me look at some stuff. Like it just takes...
Yeah.
Like it just takes doing.
Go do this. You got to go do the stuff that nobody's willing to do.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to do whatever it takes, right? The whole time. Like that never ends.
Yeah.
You always have to be like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. Have to. I think door knocking's cool. Like I want to go door knock.
Well, yeah, especially then again, because when you structure it properly and it's not just like, not because like, this guy's objection was like, well, like nobody wants to like answer their door and see a plumber. You'll get thrown off the porch. And I was like, well, maybe if you do it like a friggin' weirdo, but if you just knock and you're like, hey, how's it going? I'm in the neighborhood. I just finished up work down the road. Just like you said, I can waive all this stuff. Just want to know if you had anything going on in the house. I can look at stuff. Completely commitment free. Like you just have to like structure the conversation in a way that you're not weird. You're not all unkempt.
And even if you do get thrown out of 1,000 houses, but you get into one and you make some money, so freaking what?
Especially at the time, if you don't have any other way.
If you have no other way to get work, then go do it. Like knock on 1,001 houses to get that one job.
And I mean, you'll just increase your people skills just like as a person. Like, which in that in itself, it's like, you should just do it just for that. Because you'll be better equipped to work in your business because you're like, no, I've done this hard thing a lot and I've learned how to have these conversations. You know, like
that'd be super valuable.
Just valuable experience for anybody to have.
Agreed. Okay. Let's keep going. So still strong focus on creating cash. That's why you hired a marketing company to do marketing. So you don't have to go knock on doors.
Yeah,
that
part goes away.
Knocking on doors takes a lot of time and you want to spend less time getting work and more money getting work so that you can then go make more money doing work, right?
Yes.
And as long as you have the marketing covered in your budget, every time you go to a job, it's going to pay for the marketing, okay?
Which is key.
Key.
That part you just said there is key.
Very key.
Yes.
You should be able to go market to one person and the money that they pay you should pay you enough money to go market to 2 more people. So that you have this continually growing marketing machine, right? So that you can grow your business. Step 4 is you need to learn how to schedule. You need to learn how to schedule. And as soon as you're scheduling 1 to 2 jobs a day, you need to hire a CSR. Most people wait way too long to hire a CSR. They'll hire guys. They'll hire, I don't know, whoever. And they still won't have a CSR. They'll still be the one picking up the phone. What I would recommend, and this is what I did, the second you start getting jobs, start scheduling them in 2-hour time slots. So 8 to 10, 10 to noon, noon to 2, 2 to 4. Okay. Hey, ma'am, yep, I've got a slot open between 10 and noon. Is that cool with you? Cool. I'll be there between 10 and noon, right? And then text them when you're on your way. Hey, I'm heading over to your house. Be there in X amount of minutes. As soon as you get a CSR, or as soon as you're doing that, like 1 to 2 times a day, booked jobs, adding to your schedule, hire a CSR. She's going to pay for herself.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to answer the phone. You don't have to run your schedule. You don't have to book the jobs. She's probably going to be way better at it.
Yeah.
So hire a CSR, get her to answer your phones, book your jobs, handle your schedule, have her handle your social media messages and comments, your GMB messages, your GLSA management, your company email, and have her communicate with customers. Okay. Schedule, reschedule, collect payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That will free up a ton of your time, the business owner now, to go actually to a job and create more cash flow. Because now you don't have to worry about all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're just leveraging somebody else's labor to free up your time so you can spend your time on higher leverage tasks.
Which in this case is just going to the job.
Going to the job.
Doing the thing that only you can do in this moment.
Communicating with the customer, doing the work, billing the customer, collecting cash, right?
Yep. You're not going to be you're not going to miss a call. Like, just think about that, man. Like, if you're paying for marketing and you miss a call because you're talking to a customer because you haven't hired a CSR, like, that's just like, dude, you just pissed that marketing money down the drain because you missed the call. Or you, hold on, customer, let me pick up my cell phone in front of you, which you probably just lost that customer as far as lifetime value. You know?
Now it looks like you're just some one truck and a chuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The jig is up.
The jig is up. Okay, so strong focus on cash flow in those. The second you're in the spot where you have marketing, you have a CSR, and you're able to go work, right? You're going to stay in that spot until you've built up some cash reserves, okay? Enough cash reserves to where you can go purchase another van, you can go fill it with the proper equipment and tools, and you have a little bit of a buffer to be able to go hire somebody, right? And not worry about cash flow, okay? Every time you hire somebody, you have to be willing to watch cash disappear for a second. And then come back. It's just how it is. They're going to take a little bit to get up to speed. It's going to take an initial cash investment in that person, and then they're going to make it back for you. So the next focus that you're going to work on is steps 5 through 7, okay? And you're still going to be focusing on bringing in as much money as possible the whole time. But once you've completed steps 1 through 4, so you're priced right, you've got a good marketing company, and you've got a CSR, and you've got steady workflow now. Once you're starting to have to reschedule people because you can't get to all the jobs, that's when you can start hiring technicians. Okay, so rule of thumb is like 2 to 3 technicians. If you have to reschedule them for a few weeks in a row, 2 to 3 jobs getting rescheduled a couple weeks in a row, then it's probably time to hire somebody, right? You have to be willing to, every time you hire somebody, number one, you have to be okay with watching cash disappear, which can be a hard thing for guys who are used to getting a paycheck, right?
Yeah, sure.
So they always want to see their cash build, and they never want to see it disappear. And now they've finally been able to build some cash,
and now it's got
now they have to watch it disappear a little bit, right? But you will build it back, and you'll build it back in greater amounts, right? You're reinvesting is how you want to look at it. So you still need to have a strong focus on cash flow, and then you need to be willing to take some money and invest it in more marketing to keep the guys that you hire busy, right? So every time you hire a guy, like if you're spending 10 grand a month and it's keeping you busy, well then if you want to keep guy number 2 busy, you should probably be willing to spend 20 grand a month to keep 2 guys busy, right? So take that cash and just go reinvest it right off the bat, right? Go raise your budgets to hit 20 grand a month, right? When you hire guy number 2.
Talk to your marketing company.
Obviously.
That you have now.
Ask them where you can put it, where it's best going to be spent, that kind of stuff, right?
Which sort of reveals why if you have hired guys, you have trouble keeping them busy and you don't have a marketing company, like maybe you have a marketing segment, like, well, I have this, whatever might be your thing that you have, whether it's like Instagram ads or whatever, but just one tiny piece of the pie. You can't just be like, hey, Instagram ads, can I give you another 10 G's and just work off it like that? It won't work as reliably. And so then you'll run out of work for that guy. Or if you're in the position where you're like, well, I'm like, if you're in the position where you're still dabbling in, I don't know, new construction or other things, and you hire a guy to help you with that for a season, and then you're like, well, I can't keep him busy in service. It's like, well, because you didn't do like step 2. Step 3, get a marketing company.
Exactly. And so in this phase of your business, the whole goal is really to push your marketing. Right? Because you ultimately want to create more work than you can handle.
Sure.
So that you can hire a guy, right? Because the whole point of this phase is to grow. And to create more cash flow. And the way you're going to create more cash flow in this phase is by adding people, right? So the first phase is it's like you get your prices right and you get more jobs. Second phase is I add more people because more people create more cash flow, right?
Do you think this is like the hardest phase?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
It's
because now the business...
It's the toughest phase.
Now, because like prior to this phase, you can be like, I'm making kind of good money here. Like I'm stacking away a lot of cash just doing this myself. And the temptation is to be like, I could just do this forever. And I can make a good paycheck for myself and take vacations and all these things.
You can, but it sucks because you're working.
Sure.
Like you basically have a job that if you fixed your pricing and your marketing, what ends up happening is you have a job that pays you well, but that job, because you have a business, it will take over your life. The market will demand more of you personally than you can handle. Right?
Yeah, especially if you are doing, because people, if you are doing a good job and you do have marketing and you are getting out into the community
and you're providing good service,
it's like the market will push you whether you want it or not. Like your phone will just ring because people will know you, whether or not you actually wanted that lead or not. And then if you don't just take it on and then raise your budgets, hire a guy, you're going to lose that lead. And then that's when the business can tip back into like, oh, he's missing his phone calls. It's just going to start to backslide into this weird zone.
It starts to take over your life.
And then
and you start to drop the ball. So rather than letting that happen and rather than letting it take over your life, just grow it into a thing where it gets call volume and the thing does the work and it spits out money and you can chill. Like that's a much better solution.
You just have to push through the uncomfortable zone too of like, holy crap, I have to hire guys now. I have to deal with people. I have to learn this new skill set. As a business owner, like your life now is learning new skills and then learning new skills as fast as you can and then applying them aggressively and then sort of like refining them as time goes on. Like that is now your new thing. It's like, how much can I learn? How fast can I learn it? How fast can I apply it? And then going back and refining all those skills that you've started to work on.
Exactly.
That's scary.
Super scary. It is, especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah, it's a complete pivot.
But it's not nearly as bad as you would think.
No, and once you get into it, there's a whole lot of fun that comes in the discovery of new things. And there's a whole lot of fun that comes in the experiencing the difficulty and getting through it. And realizing, oh man, I can do this. Like when you have that, like, holy crap, I can actually do this. Like those moments, you're like, damn, this is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, you get a lot of just like satisfaction when that happens. There is no satisfaction in not having any money and trying really hard.
Nope.
Like there's no satisfaction in a 70-hour week that barely made you any more money. Like that's no fun for anybody.
No. Nope. Okay, step 5. You're going to start hiring technicians, okay, with the goal of getting to 3 guys out in the field. And if you're priced properly, once you get 3 guys out in the field, you, the business owner, should be able to pull out of the office, out of the field and into the office. And it's really that when you have 3 guys out in the field, the business needs you to pull out of the field in order to continue to grow, right? So you're going to get 3 guys, you're going to push on your marketing, you're going to get to the point where you've moved out of the office, and then we move into step 6. And this is when I would want you to rebrand. But I would still only recommend doing this if you have the cash on hand. If you don't, then just wait. Just keep creating cash until you have enough cash on hand and then rebrand, okay? So at that point in time, I would rebrand. I would wrap my trucks, and then I would get that branding everywhere, right? And that's just going to help your marketing efforts even more. Step 7, I would start working on building my price book. So I would always recommend building your own price book. So I'd set it up in a spreadsheet, and since I'm out of the office, and these guys are out creating cash flow for me, so still strong focus on creating cash, I would work on rebranding, and then I would work on creating my price book to set you up for step 8.
How do you, so up until this point, how do you make sure that your guys are charging what they should be, or even yourself? Like, how are you knowing, like, okay, I'm consistently being profitable, like without a price book or without like a digital system to help you?
A lot of people make this way more complicated. Like, you know, they get on the internet and watch podcasts and they're like, oh, you got to have a software, and they get on Jobber and they get on, you know, House Call Pro, or they try to get on Service Titan and all that stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I would say if you're gonna get on a software, just get on one that you can be on forever, right? So I would get on Service Titan. But the thing is when you have it's just you and another guy, or you and 2 more guys, you don't really need it, right? And so it's just something that sucks up more cash every month. And so I would rather take that cash and spend it on marketing, because that's going to get me more work and create more cash.
Yeah.
The software isn't really going to create cash for you in the beginning, so I wouldn't spend on it. You're always trying to like figure out what is holding me up from getting to where I want to be. Like, what's the biggest constraint in my business right now, and then solve that constraint, right? So if you try to solve the software problem early on, that's not your biggest constraint.
Yeah.
Your biggest constraint is you're not priced right and you don't have enough work. So, and you don't have enough bodies to go do the work, right? It's not software. It's not until you pull out of the truck that it's like, okay, if I want to continue to grow, I've got 3 guys in the field, I'm going to need some software.
Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't bring in software until I had 3 guys out in the field. And in the meantime, I wouldn't even bother getting on House Call Pro or Jobber or any of those, because that's just going to suck up time from you, the business owner.
It's going to suck up a lot of time, especially if you plan on pivoting to Service Titan or whatever upgrade you find from those paths.
Yep.
Because you're just going to have to redo all that process again, and it's going to be more complicated. And then you have a CSR who's got to relearn the whole thing, technicians, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. So, and you don't need it. So what we did in the beginning is we just had a notebook. All my guys had a notebook, and they had the QuickBooks app on their phone, an invoicing app from QuickBooks that we would invoice the customer with. So they would call in to the business. The CSR would answer the phone. We used Trello. Trello's free, so everybody had their own thing. And we would create cards Monday through Friday. And then in those cards, we would have time slots, the 8 to 10, 10 to noon, noon to 2, 2 to 4. When a customer called in, the CSR would pull up QuickBooks, enter in their information in QuickBooks, so they're already in there, and then put the information into Trello, the house, the address, the phone number, the customer name, and what they needed, what the technician needed. The technician would have Trello on his phone. He would see, oh, this is the 8 to 10 job. He would text the customer, hey, I'm on my way to your house. Be there in 20 minutes. He would go out. He would assess the work. He knew our hourly rate. He knew we marked up materials 100%. He would say, I think this is going to take me 2 hours. It's going to cost about $50 in materials. Or they would call and get quotes for materials. They would write up a price on a notepad. So they would write what they were going to do, all the steps that it took to get there, and put a price on the bottom. Then they go to the customer and be like, hey, this is what I can do. We'll get your dishwasher replaced. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pull out your old one. We're going to take it to the dump. We're going to replace your supply line. We're going to install an air gap or whatever, right? Blah, 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 blah. It's going to be $824.36. And they'd be like, cool. And then we'd say, can you sign the bottom just saying you agree to the price and to the work? So they'd sign it, and then we'd do the work, and then they'd pull the customer up in QuickBooks because the bookkeeper already put them in there, and then they'd bill the customer. It's not that complicated. Very simple, right? But it's a system that you can use that's free, but it only scales to a certain point.
Yeah, sure.
I can't do that with 10 guys out in the field.
Yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
Yes. And there's certain things that Service Titan does that make me a lot of money. So at some point in time, it's well worth it, right?
Right.
And so once you have 3 guys out in the field, go get on Service Titan. If you want to do it sooner, you have to be willing to see that cash go away every single month. And that's cash that you could be spending on getting customers. So that's what I would spend it on.
Gotcha.
So step 8 is really, at this point in time, you're focusing on streamlining and processing with software, right? So you're taking this business that's not super complicated. You're creating a system in it. Software is just a way of doing things.
Right.
It's its own kind of system.
Right.
And so by adding in ServiceTitan, you'll add in enough systems to grow to the next phase, basically, right? So step 8 is just to add software. Just add in ServiceTitan, okay? Which moves us on to steps 9 and 10, okay? And the focus during 9 and 10, so now that you've got 3 guys out in the field, you've got ServiceTitan, you're sitting in the general manager seat, you're priced right, you've got good marketing, is just to continue to grow and scale, right? You're going to continue to add technicians, continue to spend more on marketing, and keep going, right? And the whole point is to grow and scale to a point where you can bring in a general manager.
Yeah.
Okay. So step 9 is really grow and scale, which is just going to require raising your marketing budgets as needed, and then getting into other forms of marketing, right? Outside of just internet marketing, right? Internet marketing will keep you busy and keep stuff coming in. And it's something that you're never going to stop doing, and you're always going to raise your budgets on.
Right.
But you need to start going and doing other things, like going to local events, getting involved in the community. At this point in time, you can start doing like YouTube ads and OTT and start tacking on some of these other things, billboards. Maybe you want to try some TV or whatever, right? So you're going to scale your marketing efforts, and you're also going to start buying more vans and buying more tools and buying more equipment, right? And adding guys to just grow the machine, right? Which takes you to step number 10. Like once you have enough guys in the field, it's usually about 6 or 7 is when you can hire your general manager. So you can hire a guy to come in and run the day-to-day operations of your business, okay? So strong focus on cash flow the whole time, okay?
Yeah. That's like your main overall focus.
Yes, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
And cash flow can tell you, well, let me just
cash flow is money in, money out, right? Is what your business is going to look like. And you're going to skim a tiny bit off the top. And that's what you're going to live off of.
Right.
But you're going to take money that comes in, and you're going to pay your expenses and spend it on getting to the next step.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a flow of cash, right? And that's why I call it cash flow. What were we going to say?
I was also, because since your focus is on cash flow, because just watching you operate in your business, your focus is very much like, what is my money doing? And is it where it should be? Because it's like, it's really important that you understand your numbers, because that's going to tell you if something is off. Because and I think where guys really when business gets hard for guys is when they are in the field so much that they don't even have the headspace or the time or whatever to think about their business on the numbers level.
Yeah.
Like everybody always talks about like less time in your business, more time on your business.
Yeah.
But let's add to that and say less time in your business, more time on your business, truly understanding your money, your cash flow situation, because that is going to, that's your canary, right? That's when you're like, wait a second, something's crappy. I have way less money, or I have way more money for some reason. Like you need to be on top of that stuff.
You need to understand that.
You have to understand it. Oh man, that's a whole nother, the whole understanding part of this whole thing is big, but that's side conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to understand every aspect of it. You have to understand how your numbers play into your hourly rate.
Yeah.
How that plays into what you're charging the customer. And then you have to understand like where your money's coming in at.
Right.
You have to understand how all of your marketing works.
You do.
Right?
Like that's the part that I was going to,
like, how does this actually work?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a marketing company, and they can make suggestions and they can tell you, but they don't know your business, right? You're the one that needs to go to them and be like, you know what? This form of marketing makes a lot of sense. And I think that customers are seeing me over here and they're coming through this path here. And I think if we can spend more over here, it's really going to help level this playing field. So I want to spend more money here, right? That's your job as the business owner.
Yeah. You are ultimately responsible for every little part of your business.
Yeah.
And to say, because I mean, I hear this all the time where it's like, well, I just don't understand marketing, laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
But
Let's learn how to understand it.
Like,
you don't have to do it. You don't have to understand the nitty gritty.
Yeah, like the technical side, you don't, but you need to understand, like,
you need to,
when I put money into this machine, what happens to that money and how does that money turn into jobs?
yes.
So that I can use my knowledge and my perspective to inform my marketing, how to spend my money
Yep.
to do the best thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is like, that's a lot of the reason why when you go to 3 people out in the field, the owner needs to pull out of the field.
Yeah.
Because they need to have the ability to like pause and step back and think about their business as a whole. So like have this top-down perspective on their business, right? It's like if you're in a maze and you're just running through the maze, it's going to be really hard to get out of the maze. But the second you can like get a top-down perspective, you could get through that maze pretty quickly, right? With a lot less headache. And that's the perspective that you need to get on your business so that you can find your way around, so that you can make it to where you want to go, right? So super important, yes. And that's really what's going to allow you to go and get through all of these steps is getting that top-down perspective.
Yeah, and understanding them. And that's why, like at the beginning, we said you have to do, like, you could like study everything that we're talking about and understand it like very deeply on a conceptual level.
Yep.
But until you do it, you're not really going to know how to apply all that knowledge and everything.
Right.
Like that doing part is so important. And then you'll
Yep.
go, oh, that's what they were talking about. I know
Do,
how this means.
and then reflect.
Yeah.
Do, measure, reflect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Man, and I just got to go there for a second, but that's why it's also important to like understand where you are weak in life outside of your business.
Yeah.
Like if you're not sleeping well and if you're not eating well, you're not exercising, that reflection point is probably something you're not doing.
Yep.
It's hard to like pause in your life and reflect when the rest of your life just kind of sucks.
Yep.
Like whether you struggles with the wife because the business sucks and that you don't eat well, you drink too much or all this stuff.
Yep.
There is no time to reflect. And if there's no time to reflect, you will not grow.
Nope.
Because you won't know, you won't actually be able to assess what's happening in your life and what you can do to change it.
Yep.
If anything, you'll just feel hopeless that nothing can change.
Yep.
And nothing can change at that point.
Yep.
So.
Totally. Yeah. So up to step 10, the whole point has been cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Once you bring in a general manager, you're still going to grow after that. In fact, you need to grow after that to gain a little bit more margin into your business because you've just brought on more overhead by bringing a general manager in.
A ton of overhead.
So you need to scale a little bit more to get that margin back, right? To create some more safety in your business. The whole purpose, once you hire your general manager and you've really scaled, right, is you move into this process of refinement. So you move into a process of refining this so that it makes as much cash as possible so you have a really good system, and then trying to create a business that you don't have to be involved in, right? So you're constantly up here looking down on it. You're never involved in the day-to-day. You're just looking down on it and going, oh yeah, we need to fix this thing over here, right? Hey, general manager, let's start doing this instead, right? So it really boils down to systemizing, right? So you need to systemize it, but in order to you need to systemize and you need to squeeze like as much margin out of that business as possible, right? And so you need to I'd probably start by systemizing first. So this is a good time where you can you have enough systems through your software to get to this point, but it starts to get messy again. And so you need to go write SOPs at this point. You need to go write down this is how we hire people.
Right.
This is how we order our uniforms. This is how we answer the phone. These are all your individual job duties. This is how you're going to be measured. This is what we expect of you. All of that stuff. This is our training process. This is, everything that happens in your business needs to have a way of doing it, right? So it's a good time to go write those, okay? And a good way to do that is just to leave. Just leave your business, see what breaks, come back, and go, okay, well, this broke, so I need a process for it. I need to systemize or process something, right? Or I need to automate something so that this doesn't break again. And then leave and see what breaks, and then leave and then see what breaks until nothing breaks. And then your business is nice and systemized, right? And it'll take you probably a year to get that system really dialed in.
Yep.
Because you're going to leave and stuff's going to break, or somebody's going to be handling something, and then they're not going to be in your business anymore. And you're going to be like, oh, that person was handling this
They
thing.
did that thing. I got to make a system for that.
I need to make a system for that. So the next person who comes in, we know that needs to get done, and it gets done in the way that it needs to be done, right? So that's step 11 is systemize. And then step 12 is going to be maximizing efficiency and profits, right? So you want to lower the risk in your business, and you want to create safety by maximizing those profits and those margins, okay? And that process never ends. It should be a continual effort to be better as a company, right? It's an ongoing thing. And you're going to use data to make those decisions, right? Because now you're up here, and the only thing that you can look at is data. So you're going to take the data from Service Titan, and you're going to use that data to assess where there's potential weaknesses, where you guys could be doing better, and then you're going to implement systems to do better. And you're going to use data to track whether or not you're doing better, right? And that's going to be how you run your business from that point on. Yeah. And that will get you like these steps. This is exactly what I did in my business, and they got me to $1 million. Or sorry, they got me to $5 million. Yeah. Like, honestly, you could get to $1 million. Like, I know the title of this video is going to be like, I don't know, 0 to $1 million, step by step. But really it's 0 to, I mean, you could take this to 8 million or 10 million, step by step. And really you're going to get to $1 million. And if you can get your pricing and your marketing fixed, you're going to hit $1 million pretty quick.
Yes.
Like, you could do $1 million by yourself, damn near, right?
Yep.
You'd be working a lot, but you could do it.
Yep.
By the time you hire guy number 2, like if you have you and yourself out you and another guy out in the field, you should be able to hit over $1 million, no problem, especially the business owner. So that's it. Step 13, go enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
You enjoy it or you deserve it.
And it sounds like even past, like if you wanted to grow your business past that, it sounds like you'd have a really good foundation to go from.
You'd have a killer foundation at this point to where it's just a matter of more marketing, more technicians, more CSRs, more vehicles, more equipment, more managers, and on and on and on.
Yeah, and then just really learning the tone and tempo of like, okay, company culture. Because now you're getting so many more management components. They have to be in step with your company culture. And then, because now it's like, it starts to get so big that like your systems are going to be just much more of these people and organic things that have to be tied to a hard set of values. So that you don't lose, like the farther away you get from, ground zero, it doesn't start to fizzle out like the bigger you get. But this is just like, at least at this point, you'll like you'll have a real good idea of pricing. You'll see marketing. And then, yeah, you did it in the right order too. So you didn't have it in this weird, like backwards moving that you have to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So step by step, that's how you do it. Now, where this sounds really simple, right?
Sure, of course.
Simple steps to get you going. But the reality is it takes time.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Oh, dude, you're like one of those guys who just thinks about Rome all the time, aren't you?
All the time, every day.
6 times
How
a
often do you think about Rome?
At least once a day. At least.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and your plumbing business isn't going to be built in a day.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of it, right? And like you said earlier, like those moments where you learn new things and you see new things work, how enjoyable those are. It's as dumb as it sounds. It's not the destination, it's the journey getting there. That's the enjoyable part, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to, like, I have a business that makes millions of dollars, it spits out lots of profit, it's relatively easy to run. That's cool, but the fun part was building it.
Yeah.
Right. The journey was the part that I enjoyed.
Yes.
And one regret that I always have is that I didn't enjoy it more. Right.
Yeah, because you're so fixated on the destination.
So fixated on the destination, which I think is part of what got me there.
Yeah.
But had I just taken the time to chill out and enjoy it a little more, I would have gotten there just as fast.
Yeah,
right?
sure. But you would have been able to stop and smell the roses, as they say.
Stop and smell the roses. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. What's Alex Hormozy say? Building cool shit takes time.
Yeah, it does take time.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's because it takes time, but again, like there's so much fun to be had along the way.
So much fun.
Like, and fun can be had, especially if you know that you're like doing the thing that's required to get the job done.
Yeah.
Like that's when it's fun because you're like, man, I'm actually building the skill to actually do a good job.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, this was hard. And like this, like I messed up in this ways or I made mistakes here, but I know I'm on the right path.
Yep.
What's not fun is when you don't know what skill to build. And so you're just doing whatever and you're sort of like flitting around, you're flirting with different ideas.
Yep.
And that's when we're mentally masturbating because we're flirting with all these ideas, but
Yep.
we're not actually investing in them enough to have any effect.
Yep.
It's like if I was like, Jared, I'm gonna start playing soccer. I've been thinking about that. I also am gonna start juggling because that sounds like a fun idea. And I just started listing off all these things. Like, what do you mean? What do you do? Just pick one.
Yeah.
Do one thing and get good at it.
Yeah.
And that will be more enjoyable than being super badass at like all these things.
Yeah.
Because you won't get there.
Nope.
And if you do get there, it's because you're gonna take your time with one and then move on to the other.
Yeah. What ends up happening for a lot of guys is because I think if you're a true entrepreneur and you get into business and you want to be successful at it, you're always thinking, like you're watching this video and you're thinking to step 12, right?
Yeah, you're thinking of that end.
And you can see the path there. And so for you, you're like, that's where I want to go, but this is where I am. And it's frustrating that you can't get there faster because you see that you're so close, right? You feel like you're so close. And so the day goes by and you're like, I just want to be there so bad. And the reality is it's not just this one giant leap to get there. It's a series of tiny little things that creates that giant leap, right? So it's every single day going, what's my biggest constraint today? And what can I do today to move forward?
Right.
And it's the tiny little bit that you move forward every single day, every single week, every single month that builds to getting where you want to be. And it's frustrating for entrepreneurs because they're always like thinking 20 steps ahead, right? So yeah, if that's anybody listening to this, just know it's the little things that count. It's the little goes. It's the little wins. It's the baby steps that get you there.
Yep. It's so I've been using your general manager's habit tracker, which I think is super fun. It's really fun for me just
I should probably do it.
It's fun because it's like a really extensive habit tracker, everybody, with all these categories and percentages and everything.
Yeah.
But what's fun is determining what allows you to click the box. So, for example, I have wake up at 5 a.m. as one of my boxes.
That's too early, dude.
You got to do what you got to do, you know? So wake up at 5. I got to wake up at 4 tomorrow.
Oh, why?
So I can run before biking.
You're going to run before we bike?
It's the only time I got. I got to risk it. I got to risk being really jelly leggy on the trails.
Oh, man. Biking's going to suck tomorrow.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be.
How long are you going to run for?
Probably just an hour.
Do you want my advice?
What's that? Always, yeah, always.
Just kidding.
Of course. I want you to run for 7 hours. Just meet us at the trails. I'll pick up Isaac on the bike.
Yeah.
I actually thought about that. I was like, Jared, I'll just meet you there. I think I'd probably be dead.
You're going to run from,
No.
what, 4:30 to 5:30?
No, I'm going to run from 4 to 5:30-ish, somewhere in there. Definitely 4 to 5.
Dude, you know what happens? We're getting way off topic, but
It's okay. It's the end of the podcast. There's like 3 listeners at this point.
We'll go back to your habit tracker here.
We'll get there.
There was an entire year one time where I set my alarm for 5 a.m. Because I wanted to start running in the morning.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time running, right? But I would run at night.
Yeah.
Every single time. And it was like, man, if I just run in the morning, then I don't have to run at night. I can spend that time with my family.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to start waking up at 5.
Yep.
Like, this will be awesome. This is long before like David Goggins and all these guys of like,
Yeah.
be a badass man, right?
Yeah.
There was none of that.
Yeah.
It was just purely like, I can optimize my time a little better if I run. So I woke up twice, 365 days. I didn't have a habit tracker.
Yeah.
Or I probably would have done it more.
Yeah.
But the 2 times that I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to wake up at 5 and I'm just going to throw on my running shoes. I would set everything out previously.
So no resistance.
Water bottle was there.
Yep.
Running shoes were there. Shorts were there. Running shirt was there. All I had to do was put them on and go. Dude, by 5:30, I had to poop so bad.
That's so you too.
That I would barely make it back to my house without crapping my pants. Both times.
That's you. I mean, that's even with biking where you're like, I'm gonna be late. I gotta poop.
Dude.
Like I just can't not.
Yeah. It's always been my morning routine to wake up, drink coffee, and poop before I go do anything.
Yeah, so you just can't do the 5 a.m. because of that thing.
Yeah, because I don't want to be like, even when I worked at work, I didn't want to have to stop in the middle of the day to go poop.
Yeah,
right?
got stuff to do.
I didn't want to go poop in a blue room when I can poop at my house. So
That's so funny.
Yeah. So careful is what I'm getting at. I know you wanted my advice, and there it is.
Well, to your point, when Ayla and I were on Monday, we were driving back, and she's like, I'm just going to drop you off on Mobile Highway, and you can run home. And I was like, I got to poop so bad. I can't do that because I didn't poop before. I was like, there's no way. Like, I can't. I'll stop in that gas station.
There's something about the jarring effect of running.
Know.
It just like works it down in there.
Yeah. Something. There's probably some science.
So bring baby wipes with you. Like,
just in case.
Yeah. Seriously. Get a little... I used to run a lot on the weekends, and I would always bring baby wipes with me.
You never know,
dude. It happens.
Yep.
Like when you run a 100-miler, that's one of the hardest things because it's usually like you're running all night long, usually, right? So I think my fastest 100-miler was like 26 hours.
Yeah.
So it's an entire day, right?
So much.
And like you're eating a ton of food too, because you need to stay energized, and food is part. You need calories, right?
Yeah, you're just doing something active for 26 hours straight.
Yeah. So and then your legs start to get really, really, really tired. So the worst part is if they have blue rooms, like some 100-milers have like aid stations every 6 to 8 miles where you can get food and water, and they usually have a blue room where you can go to the bathroom if you need to. That's bad enough, like having to squat that far down
and then, like,
to hit the toilet seat.
Get yourself back up.
But the 100-milers, most of the ones that I've done, actually all of them, they've only had like 2 aid stations.
Yeah.
So
you're just in the woods.
Dude, you're in the woods, and it is one of the hardest things to do to get in a squat enough position to go poo in the woods.
When you're like 70 miles in.
When your legs are just literally dying on fire.
So it's like just as hard as like the run, and you just don't want to fall on your own dookie.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's the worst part.
The things you don't really anticipate until you're in there and you're like, wait a second, how's this going to work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would put baby wipes in my... That's what... So, like, because I used to run in Alaska.
Yeah.
And we would just go run in the woods all day.
Yep.
And we would always have baby wipes with us. I'm talking, I say we, it's me and my father-in-law spent a lot of time running in the woods. And if we had to poop, we just go in the woods, right? I don't know what you would do here.
Yeah, well, you'd have to go like next to the highway in somebody's bushes. Like, or depending on where you are, you could like hustle to a gas station. You just have to be very aware of how much time you can give yourself.
Yes.
Like, can I make it to that one, or should I just turn back and go to the sketchy one right there? Should I go to the nice one or stay at the sketchy one?
Yep.
Cost benefit.
Yep. Even here, if you're at the woods, like the trails, like the biking trails even, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be like, like in the AK, you're just secluded. You're just in the woods. It's like you and the bugs, and that's it.
You could literally just squat in the middle of the trail and nobody would come. The only reason you don't is because you don't want to leave a pile of poo in the trail, right?
Yeah, because you're going to be there tomorrow, and you're gonna be like, ugh, that's mine, and keep going.
So one time I ran a race, and this is way off topic. I ran a race.
These are for the dedicated listeners. This is like the, the Patreon people.
It was a 50-miler in Alaska. It ended at Angel Rocks, and there were 2 aid stations. I didn't have baby wipes, but the race started at like 3 or 4 in the morning for some reason, and it's an hour drive from my house to the race start. So you got to get up in the middle of the night, drive to the race start.
Sure.
Needless to say, you don't have time to poop.
Yeah, because it's 2 hours before Jared's pooping time.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm going to have to poop on the trail. I forgot baby wipes. Worst decision of my life. I don't remember how many miles in, but it was like, I got to poop. And you're out You're out like Hot Springs Road, dude, and you're going up. We should have renamed this podcast.
Jared talks about poop for 35 minutes.
You're going up. You're out in you get out like in the tundra, so there's no trees.
Yeah.
There's no leaves. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's just like little scratchy bushes.
I thought about using my sock, but I was like, man, then I'm going to get blisters.
Yeah, hella blisters.
I don't want to get blisters on my feet. And so you're out there in the tundra, and the only thing you got is moss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can chunk up a chunk of moss.
This video is probably going to get flagged.
Maybe. And it seems like a pretty decent wiper, right? A hunk of moss. Bad idea. Terrible idea.
Dingleberry City.
Not dingleberry. You just leave a bunch of the moss in there, right? You got chunks of moss in your butt crack. And now you're running down the trail. And when you run, your butt cheeks, move.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the chafing that happens from the moss chunks.
These moss and sticks and all these things.
Yeah, in your butt crack. Terrible decision. So I finally got to the bottom of Angel Rocks. It's 5 miles from the finish line. Yeah. So mile 45, and my wife was there. Yeah. And I was like, do you have baby wipes? Went in the bathroom, got it all cleaned out. But it was a little too late. It was a disaster. It was a disaster back in there.
Man, the guys who get this far into the podcast are for a treat.
They don't even know for a treat, man.
In for a treat.
Dude, when you run a long ways, you get chafed in areas that you didn't know you could get chafed. Yeah. Especially if you don't train enough. If you train, you'll kind of pre-chafe.
You'll be like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't expect that.
You'll get calluses and weird spots, but in between your toes, where your toes rub together.
My toes don't rub together.
You're not going to have that problem.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what the problem that comes from the toe socks is.
Yeah, you're going to have chafing in other areas. Yeah.
Nope, not me. I'm chafeless.
Yeah. Nipple chafing. Right here where your armpits hit your shirt or the side of your body or whatever, chafing, all sorts of stuff. And some people are more sensitive to it than others. Yeah. I was pretty lucky on my chafing. I never really had it real bad. My father-in-law, if there was a tag in his shirt, it'd chafe him.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, man, what are you, kind of weenie?
Yeah, you would say that. And he probably hated it too.
Maybe you should toughen your skin up.
Yeah, jeez. Rub some orange on it or something.
Anyway, habit tracker.
So on this habit tracker, waking up at 5 a.m., I have to determine what counts, right? Because
what counts for waking up at 5 a.m.?
Yes, in order to tick that box.
How to qualify for that?
Yeah, because you could be like, well, I woke up at 5:10. That's close enough. The idea of 5 a.m. was there. I was in the, and so what's fun is my qualification is I have 1 minute. If it's 5:01, don't get to tick the box, which is when you're doing an extensive habit tracker. That's annoying when you can't tick a box because you see the score reflect in it. Yeah. And so it's really helpful for me because alarm goes off at 5 and I have about 30 seconds to decide if I'm going to get my butt out of bed. So I'm like, okay, oh God. There's no well, I'll snooze it for 5 minutes. If I'm snoozing it for 5, it's I can't tick the box.
So my thing with this is if I had a habit tracker and I put on there to get up at 5, I am pretty motivated by that. I would get up at 5 every single day.
Right.
But it would ruin the rest of my life.
Well, that's why you got to set it that's relevant. I wake up at 5 because so I wake up at 5 and I read for an hour before the kids got to get up for school and everything. Yeah. When I actually complete that 5 o'clock thing, my schedule is such that I have probably 85% success to get all the other things done. If I don't wake up at 5, there's no way I'm going to be able to have a successful day as far as the habit tracker is concerned. I can still accomplish the main things, but I can't accomplish that extra little gap.
Maybe you have too much stuff in there though.
Yeah, but I think you want to have too much stuff or you want to have things that you don't want to have it 100%. You want to be pushing yourself because you want to find the weaknesses in your plan, in your life so that you can refine. Right? So if I was just 100% day again, I'm awesome. Then it's okay, well, you can probably make this more difficult because you're probably, I don't know, there's probably room in here. Or maybe you just have a life where you have tons of spare time.
That's what I want. Doesn't seem to happen though.
Well, and it's I think it's good to fill the time with something and something meaningful.
I think so too, but I think you can fill your time with stuff that just takes up time. You could put whatever you want on your habit tracker and make sure to get it all done. But if it's not getting you to where you want to go, I feel like you should be looking at your habit tracker and going, is what I'm putting in here actually worth doing?
Yeah, of course.
Is it actually getting me closer to what I want?
Yeah.
Is there a better way, a more efficient way I could go about this to where I don't have to wake up at 5? I could wake up at 6 and get an extra hour of sleep. Like if your kids went to school closer, you know.
But then you lose out somewhere else. If they go to school closer, they got to go to a different school.
If they if you didn't have to drive an hour and a half every day.
Yeah, no, I see your point. I would gain and it's not an hour and a half. It's like 90. It's like 90 minutes.
Man.
But
Sorry,
the point,
I had to go there.
I know it's your favorite thing to go to, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. But the thing about it that's fun about the habit tracker is determining what constitutes an acceptable thing. Yeah. So like I just took Eddie's and he has breakfast, lunch, and dinner on there and snacks.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's helpful, like being on the gaps to be like, okay, I tick this box if I ate what I'm supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Like if I don't eat what I'm supposed to eat, I can't tick the box. Gotcha. And it just gives you like a feedback loop of like, are you actually doing the things you said you're going to do?
We should put a copy of that habit tracker in this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just super effective and you can construct it for yourself. And
hey, is it Jamie?
Yeah. Jamie.
Habit tracker.
Hey, we got a Costin now.
Hey, Costin,
habit tracker
in the comments.
If you make it this far, Costin, right there. The habit
you
tracker.
better make it this far.
Yeah.
Well, cool,
man.
Okay, there you go. Like nobody has an excuse. Go grow your plumbing business. We just gave you all of the steps.
Yep.
And don't get discouraged when it doesn't go as fast as you want.
Yep.
Or when you got to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal.
Yep.
And it's fun.
It is fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like, have fun along the way.
Yeah.
Like, have fun in the growth moments and the learning new things and the challenge.
Yep. Download the habit tracker so you can wake up at 5 a.m. and
go poop in the woods.
Go poop in the woods.
Make sure to bring some baby wipes too.
Bring baby wipes. Yep. Learned a lot.
Dude, good pod, bro.
Good pod.
Okay, see ya.
See you, Holmes.